Hey y'all, so this is my new project, seQ, and in this video I'll introduce seQ, show you what it looks like and what it does, and then I'll kind of walk through it more. So if you just want to see, get introduced to it, just watch the beginning of this video, and if you really want more in-depth walkthrough, then just keep watching. And later on I'll go on about how to set up seQ and all that too. So just to show you what it looks like and all, seQ is pretty much a max for live patch that's a sequencer or multiple sequencers, and it's managed by my lemur layout seq. And since it's OSC routed, you don't have to really set it up. You just set up an OSC target and you're good to go. So what I wanted to do with seq is just make a really straightforward sequencer that you can either assign to parameters, which are mappable through the patch here, so you can assign it to any parameters, or you can send the groups of sequencers out as pitch, velocity, and length, so you can have a monosequencer, or you can send them out as like one-shot rhythms to a drum rack or whatever you want. So you'll see the two groups here, there and there, pink and blue, X and Y. And they kind of got all the basic things. You know, you have step value, direction, rate, you have different ways to affect the shape. Go left, right, up and down, invert, randomize, copy, paste, etc. And another thing is I try using canvas a little here. So instead of a range for a loop, you click the loop and then the loop's just a canvas, which you can move by activating this loop button here. Or when you move steps, it'll temporarily come up, so as you hold down the steps you can move the loop too, just in case you're doing things quickly. So I'll just focus on one group since the other one pretty much reflects it. So basically each group has two sequencers and a fader, and you can change what those sequencers and fader get sent to. So you click this here, and this manages presets, and it manages how those things are sent. So right here is where you manage where the sequencers will be sent. So you can see pitch, velocity, and length. And then so you say pitch gets sent to seq2, and so on and so forth. I'll go into more detail later. And then you can also change whether you want to send it out as a MIDI note, or a note and parameter, or just a parameter. And then you manage a preset system here. See, I just stored the pattern there, and I'll store it again here. And then you can load them by pressing the load. Once you have the mode, I'm just pressing these different canvas slots and it loads the presets. Or you can click clear mode and they'll go white, and you just press them and it'll clear your banks. Okay, I'm walking through a little too much, but and also another thing you can do is you click this button here, and it switches it from you just loading it from pressing these, or if you have it on the key mode, you can also load these presets by pressing these different notes on your key. So, and you can choose the octave. So right now it's going from C3 to C4, and you manage that right here. So you can change it to 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. And it'll reflect that. Now it's C6. Oh, gotta fix that. That'll be done by the time you get this. Anyway, so those are that's pretty much it. It's super basic. I'll go into more of the cool things about it that you can do and how to work with it, you know. But other than that, you can pretty much get it. You map the parameters here. Right now they're mapped to macros, but you can map them to whatever you want. And you'll see it says pitch, velocity, and length. So whatever you have assigned for that, right now I have pitch for seq2, which is the colored one. Velocity for seq1, which is always the yellow one. Sorry, I mixed them up. seq2 is the yellow one. seq1 is the colored one. And length to fader. So that will reflect that here. So pitch right now would be seq2. Velocity will be seq1, and length will be fader, and you can map those to the effects. So you can switch it all around depending on what you want. Alright, I'm gonna kinda like go more in depth into it if I haven't already. But before I do, yeah, you can use this monosequencer, just throw it as a MIDI effect in front of an instrument, And you can choose your pitch range right here for each of the groups. So from, B negative octave negative 1 to C5. So you can choose your range. I don't have any scale presets or anything, but there's tons of Max for Live tools and Ableton MIDI effects you can just throw right in front of here and go to any scale you want. So you can easily find ways around that. So yeah, you can throw an instrument, or right now I have it in front of a drum rack, and then kind of sending out one pitch or whatever at a time, and then you can make rhythms. All right, I'm going to walk you through it and some cool stuff to do with it. So first of all will be setup. Setting it up's really easy. So you just go to your lemur, you go to settings, you go to your OSC target. You do OSC 0 because that's what everything's set up as. And then as for host, you can do your IP or your local name, which you'll find in your sharing on a Mac. And then you select a port. Make sure it's one of the ports in the drop-down menu on the max patch. So right now I have 8,000. Let's change it just to be safe, because you might have to change it. If it's not working, try changing them. So let's go to 9,000. All right, and then we'll go to the max patch, drop-down menu, 9,000. Easy. Then you type in your iPad IP here, click off, don't press enter, and then done. All right, so now it should be all set up, so when I move stuff around, which I am right now, you'll see this little white LED right here shine, and that means you got connection. So everything's working now. All right, so let's see what to walk through more. I already showed you have different shapes. By the way, just a little trick, if you ever want it to be one flat, straight thing like that, just bring it down to 0 and wheel this up till you're at your desired position, and then you have a flat line. Anyway, let's see what to show. Okay, so this, depending on where your pitch is, this will show up for it. So if I change my fader, if I change the pitch to be on the fader, boop, then when I move the fader, the pitch will show, and it'll only show the pitches within the range that you selected on the max patch. So if you remember what we selected, it's this. And then, yeah, so I mean, it's pretty easy. So just to recap, the seq1 is the sequencer that is the color of the group. So this group is pink. So seq1 is the pink sequencer. seq2 is the yellow sequencer, which is the secondary sequencer, depending on how you're using it. And obviously the fader is the fader. The fader you can double tap and it will record your movements. So I double tap and you see the little red light and the recorder. Yeah, and then it will replicate that. And you can save that movement too. So if I saved it now here at that guy, then if I load off, go to load mode, see it stopped moving, and look at the fader, it stopped moving, and then when I load it back, it plays. So that's all remembered. It just takes a lot of arrays. Let's see. And then these little LEDs down here will show you what's going on at the other sequencer that you switched off. So if I turn these down, you'll see there's only these lit up now. Okay. Yeah, and then you have the directions forward, backward, forward, back, forward, random. All right, that's pretty much everything with this layout. You know, you can figure out some tricks, but it's pretty simple. The one at the bottom is exactly the same, but reverse. Now, let's go to kind of useful ways to use this. For example, it's only 2 sequencers. So if you're doing one-shot rhythms on a drum rack, you can only do so much. But you know, one good way to really get your dollar out of it is to have another MIDI track as a dummy to accept the MIDI from your track, and then you know, you play a sequence, and you can see them playing here, and you like the sequence, so then you record it, and it will appear. Oh, sorry, this isn't set up quite right. Just one moment. Okay, you can choose where you get it. So let's go after the whole rack. Anyway, so yeah, and then, you know, you have your rhythm, and this is for live stuff, you know, and then it's still playing it, and you drag it over and playing it, and they should match, and then you just delete your rhythm on here and start a new one, and it'll keep playing. Anyway, that's one really great way to use this tool, in my opinion, for one-shot rhythms. You can build complex rhythm rather quickly. And then the other way to do it is you throw it in front of an instrument and use it as a monosequencer. Like I said, you can map the effects, so I just click the map like all these Max for Live quick maps. I click the Q, the resonance, and it shows up here. You can do your own custom range for it, and then whatever is mapped to pitch. So right now it's seq1, sequencer 1, the pink sequencer. So right now the pink sequencer would be sending to this parameter. And I enable that by switching to parameter or note and parameter. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. There's not much to walk through here. So I hope you enjoy. This is actually a whole precursor to another project I'm working on that's a little more involved and complex. So this is kind of going hand in hand with that. So if you like this project, stay tuned, and I'll have another one even more interesting along these same lines coming out soon. All right, enjoy.